Hello and welcome for a different type of video where we'll be viewing at the most interesting part of any online Assetto Corsa Competizione online race, which is of course surviving lap 1. The overall philosophy is of course the further in front you are, the bigger or the better your chances of survival. So here I think I'm at around P10, get a little bump here in turn 1 from the Aston Martin, no biggie. Doing quite alright so far. Aston almost cuts across me again as we exit the turn. There you go, he ducks to the inside, but I'm still sort of there. Got a bit more speed coming out of it, but I can brake a little bit later. And I take the position. All good so far, but yeah, as you could probably get expect, it's gonna go wrong somewhere. So it's gonna go wrong in front of me. I have to duck inside, and I get tapped around by that Aston Martin we've just passed before. Stall the engine and I can start all the way at the back, which actually was a really fun recovery race for me to do actually, and I immediately learn a lot more about this car on this particular track. But then we get this later on in the lap, a car on its side. I haven't seen that in ACC at all, so that must have been quite an incident, which I safely managed to pass. And here we just watch the rest of lap 1, tentatively being very careful. I managed to not get any damage from that little tap, but yeah, the trick is to try and keep it that way. So here's the incident where I spun a little bit from a different angle. We're looking at the back of my car. That's the Aston that I pass. All is fine. Now as we brake, things start going wrong. He starts taking properly to the apex. I have to correct myself there as well, and then we come together. So I would call that a racing incident, definitely not anything intentional by the Aston or myself. I just tried to dodge and he didn't really have anywhere to go. On to the next race. It's at Imola. This was probably one of the crazier things I've seen. I had to do. In the top left you see me from the cockpit, and at the bottom right you see a TV camera. There's mayhem going on in front of me. I have to dive onto the grass in order to dodge all the braking cars. More carnage with the McLaren getting punted by a Porsche. I managed to slip through, and then more chaos as another one car. 2 cars go off, collect multiple cars, like another 4-car incident. But luckily I stay in the middle of the track and dodge all those problems. Moving on to a fine race. I catch up some people, make a few passes, have some fun fights. Then we're at Suzuka. This one is a bit calmer. Still plenty of chaos going around, but nothing that I have to dodge. I can pretty much pick and choose my line. It's a bit busy here, all is fine. Through along turn 1, there off goes the Bentley. Backwards into the wall. It's a little bit in there, a little more cars in front of me that I have to keep in mind, but nothing that was too dangerous for me. But yeah, there were a couple of races ruined there. I ended up ruining my own race in this particular one, where I cut a corner a bit too much and like hit a curb that was there, which was like totally unnecessary. I spun the car and bunked into the barrier and causing proper damage, ending my efforts for that race. Unfortunately, this is actually a great track, and I find yeah, the McLaren, after driving the Mercedes religiously for a while, actually quite fun and nice to drive. On to Silverstone, where we had another start. I did had a very poor qualifying, so I'm quite a ways back. Turn 1. That should be difficult. The Ferrari goes strangely wide for some reason. I got squeezed by both cars almost and decided just to give up the position and just survive another day. All good through Maggots and Beckett's. Just take it slow. Try to give yourself a proper exit without not like driving into the back of the cars in front of me. There is, as you can see in the bottom right, a Nissan big boy right up my chuff as we go further, but that shouldn't be a problem. I'm on the inside, almost outbrake myself into the Bentley, dodging wide, and then I lose the car a bit, and I slam into another Lamborghini that was there, and unfortunately that sent me around. So nothing of course not the Lamborghini's fault, it was all my fault. And I resumed the race. I think I was damage free again, so I got lucky twice. I have to let another car pass. And then, yeah, I can resume my race proper. Just a bit scared now. There's more dirt being thrown up further on. So we ready ourselves for the next clip. I think it's another angle again. Yep, there it is. Me going wide. You don't really see the instability on this shit, but yeah, you do see the front tipping inwards towards the Lambo. A small tap unsettles it more and just sends me around. And then a very, very poor turnaround. But at least damage free and on my way. And then another. Yeah. Back to front race, which again was fun to do. I picked up my personal pace on this track quite a bit. So here we are at the tensest race ahead of the day, Kyalami. I had a pretty decent qualifying. No setup work actually really done, just small changes to the aggressive setup. So I dive to the inside. The Aston Martin takes a wider line. And at least starting on fourth I get at least one position just by virtue of getting off the line better. So from the front onwards it's a lot easier to get away safely. You also sometimes have to get lucky with the people who are in here. But yeah, this start of course is as safe as you can get it. Unfortunately then it's still of course a bit tricky maybe on the cold tires. You have to be a little bit careful with some of the curbs here, and the Mercedes over here goes a bit too wide, gets a little snap and has to go into the runoff. And in first place to the Aston and second place to me. The Aston will make a little mistake further on and then leaves me in front of the race, and I had to defend against this guy for over 10 minutes, but I did win that race. So on to the next clip. So here we are for a nice little clip at Zolder at a good start actually. I am on the left side here in the green and red Mercedes, starting actually in a GT4 race for once. So we all get close, there's a bit of bumping and grinding going on there. We barely touch with the Alpine on the inside. I carry a bit more speed and some nice side-by-side action. So it's not always drama of course, even if you're in the middle of a lot of cars. There we go, like 3-4 people very, very close together. The Porsche is ahead. I can still on the inside of almost 3 cars. The other Porsche backs out of it. I get a slightly better exit than the Alpine, and then I move over to close the door as we go on our way to the upcoming chicane here at this Zolder Belgium circuit. So all good stuff. It was a fun, intense race as well, and I think I finished second in the end. So, back at Imola again for another little short clip. I am the car that is below the yellow little blobbish. I'm being careful here, not a very full lobby, and the chaos starts going on ahead of me. There's a car that spins, the 2 cars collect, I slow down, and then another car bumps in the back of me, and there's like a 3-way crash. I slowly make my way on track. There's a Mercedes to my right, which I was slowing down for, and then he just went onto the grass for no good reason. I think he just quit it out, and then the race went on pretty normal from that point on. I had a fun little drive here trying to catch that car that you just see at the bottom of the screen. So for our next clip we are at, I believe, Monza. I'm starting from pole on the inside of the track, and it's a messy one where I also partially gave up, so it's a pretty good run. To turn 1, the Mercedes of course is a bit faster, so it has nose ahead, but I got the inside line. Then the Lambo on the outside completely misses his braking point, nudges the McLaren into me. I even squeezed the other McLaren as well. So messy all around. I just straight lined the chicane. That was like, never mind this, let's just move on. So let's show a good one again. Kyalami. nice and clean from everyone involved. So I'm here in 4th or 5th position at the moment, keeping an inside line. There's a car on my outside, so I have to keep the line tight. Crew chief will help me with that, telling me where the cars are. All is fine. The Lambo in front of me gets a bit compromised, and I dive in, braking a little bit later and taking 4th position. Then he has slightly better exit, so he stays on the outside line. I've got the inside line for the long left-hander, so there's not much he can do. He tries to hit the apex a bit earlier than I did, and had a light touch, but nothing bad happened there. So now let's watch a clip from a Silverstone race that that Mr. Poole, my race buddy here, was part of, and we're watching from his car. I'm somewhere further behind. He's starting from pole position, I believe, in his McLaren, and you're gonna have to watch the Aston that's right behind him. That's why we got the backwards camera going on with him. So you get nudged out of first place, nothing too bad, still fine. The Aston carries more speed, tries to do something, but he backs out of it, but carries more speed into the second part. Then my mate touches him, spins him around, give him another nudge, makes it a nice 360, and he can go on. A bit of bumping and grinding, but overall nice recovery, and also well done from everybody else in avoiding more misery. For the next one, we're going to Brands Hatch, where my friend Mr. Poole had a much better race than I did. So turn 1 was fine. We're now on our way down the hill into a long little left-hander. I'm stuck on the outside, and Aston Martin gets it wrong, pushes everyone wide. There's a McLaren off. I managed to avoid this kerfuffle, then more goes wrong, and Audi gets tapped around, bashes into the Porsche, which bashes into me. Then I fly across the track and ram into that Audi once again, damaging my steering and pretty much ending any chances of a race. I did finish it, just, you know, to practice this track since it's been a while. For the next one, we got 2 clips of this one, mainly because the guy in question, which you will see, decided to wait for me and murder me later on in this race. So we're going through, I think this is No Name. It has a new name, but I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to keep calling it by the old name. I had a good exit here. We both moved to the inside, so I dash back out. He goes back to the racing line really late. Brakes a bit earlier as me as well, and then there's nothing I can do with that late dash in front of me. We're going to see it from his back end. So he was having a very high ping, so maybe that he thought he had a bit more space than there actually was for me. So he goes a little bit wide. I can go on the throw much earlier. He covers off the inside and then goes back for the brake. I don't hear him tap the brakes. So yeah, he just moved over, and there was no way I could do anything at that point anymore. On to Nürburgring, where I had a pretty good qualifying in the McLaren, in 3rd position as we started barrel down towards turn 1. And there's one particular car that's going to get it very wrong. There's a Ferrari there on the left side, the black one. He's wiggling, braked way too late, hits my back, I hit the Mercedes, and then I'm stuck in a place where everybody else is, and I just get hit by everything and everyone. So most of those people can't do anything about that, and I'm just like, well, this race is done and dusted. More guys spinning around, and I think I ended up quitting this race because the car was too damaged, and just look for another session. A little small tap with the Ferrari and the Mercedes as we try to go 3 right into that corner. That's not gonna work, and it's all very, very bad from then on for my poor little car. So, on to the next clip at Laguna Seca. We've got 2 views here, my point of view in the top left and the car that started the incident at the bottom. So this is one of the more innocent mistakes. He makes a tiny mistake and I get in trouble here. So here's the start. I get stuck on the outside, lose the position to the red Audi there, who had a very good launch. So a bit of a shame there, but you know, no biggie. I'm still in this race. All is clean through the first couple of corners. Now look closely at the Ferrari. He takes the inside line a bit too much and it unsettles the car. He starts to slide and wiggle. I have to avoid him. And I started wiggling myself and bonk into the wall, losing massive downforce, forcing me to pit and turning this race into a practice session. He actually gets hit again, ending his race even quicker. Now, on to one of the more crazy starts that I was a part of. I was actually in the back of this one, joined very, very late, of a very large grid. Turn 1 here went surprisingly well. I just take it really, really easy, no rush. It's back in the BMW for this one, so not the fastest car for me to begin with. Cars are popping in because of my graphics settings, so don't worry about that, that's all normal. There's a cup car and another cup car off the track already. There's a car to the left spinning around, and here is about to begin. Just watch. There's so much that happened there, so much contact with so many different cars, and for somehow I managed to get through. Unfortunately, I got into an incident later on. So for our final few clips, we start here at the Nürburgring, all a bit instant. I think I actually bumped into the Porsche ahead of me because he was a bit slow off the line, causing me to slow down the straight. It happens, so no damage, nothing too bad. Everybody actually handles themselves really, really well here into turn 1, gives each other plenty of space. I think I go almost outside the Porsche, maybe get him there into the another turn in left-hander. Yes, I do, very nicely. So it starts to go wrong in front of me with a McLaren that goes slow, which surprises the Lamborghini right there, hits the Aston, and then I bump him as well. Actually, unfortunately, spin that guy around and set off hell behind me there. So an unfortunate Constantine effect. It looks a bit weird on camera, like I intentionally bumped into him, but sometimes from the cockpit it's hard to judge. So that was kind of on me, kind of not. So here we're looking at my friend here at Spa. I'm in front of him in another Mercedes, but yeah, this time he is in the shit, where a lot of things go wrong at the end of this straight. So he brakes a bit late, and boops, the McLaren, which isn't the worst, he runs a bit wide. The Lexus there goes way too hot, goes wide, and then the McLaren re-entries over there, and he gets into a bumper machine there. So big incident, and that kind of ruined the rest of his race, which he ended up quitting out. So that's a nice little video of all the things that tend to go wrong there in race starts, and it's kind of fun to look back, also like maybe like learn it from it myself, because man, most of these incidents are where I'm the victim, obviously, but trust me, I make my fair share of mistakes as well. Things are easily misjudged, lag sometimes creates problems, like the incident with the Ferrari, red Ferrari, and the Spa clip that you have seen. But if everything goes well, you get starts like these, where everything goes nicely, everybody gives each other room, and you can have a fun race with an undamaged car. So thank you all for watching, and have fun racing, and maybe I'll see you guys on the track. Bye bye.